honest with yourself. You're dealing with rainfall in certain. Now, when you have flooding, it's not yet a political issue or an issue of performance or non-performance in public office.
Okay.
So people look at it like that. And after that, then we move on to that stage where what should you have done ahead of this thing, by someone in office, a political issue. It's not going to be even any other thing. It's just going to be a political issue. That does not say the government is at all levels. The government is doing what it should do, enough of what it should do. Then again, one of the things that government should do is to clear the pathways, right?
Sure.
But when you begin to clear the pathways, you get opposition from the same people who are going to say, "Don't touch my house. Don't you have papers and so on, build."
It is a natural occurrence, but talking about a blog, let's talk to people.
We have that problem, that, and we talked about it once on this program. It's something that is common in Lagos. You see, the Lagos problem is different. Lagos is a very people inside that small space. And what you get when you...
For regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRI Project or your state Ministry of Health.
No matter waiting, I show you, you show me love.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You show me, you show me, you show me love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Super Pack is now 350 naira, so hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts. It's more than breast milk. It's time to introduce
richest, men in Africa in his day. And he said, go and build and live on Lagos Island. So he remained
Back then
to first make matter much, whether your part of Lekki is flooded or not. Lekki is Lekki, you have 1 and 2 and all that. That you will not, see some measure of flooding if you choose to live on the island.
All right, the Lagos people should brace up there.
We are not even living on the island. We experience some here.
Us to get financial support from these people, we have to put pen to paper to say, okay, we accept and we are behind you concerning the LGBT situation. That is the same-sex marriage. Nigeria. We have talking about religion, talking about culture, the things that made us to say, no, we won't accept this in the first place. So a lot of people are talking, quite a lot of
What
people.
are they talking about?
More from
Nigeria. And there's no hand into any kind of thing. Are you going to be working against the law? It's an impeachable offense. If you begin as president or anything to work directly sodomy, lesbianism and all these things, like they are seeing it and they are enforcing it all over the world. So what did Ronaldo do on the field of... I've always preferred Messi, but for the first time, I just like the guy
for what
standing, for what you believe, because these people, this is
on Akidigo 88.7 FM.
All right.
I tell people, I don't have any interest at all in whether you want to be a lesbian, you want to be homosexual, you want to be transgender and anything. I don't care. But don't bring it to me. I'm not saying go and kill them, go and do this and that.
No,
I'm really not interested in all that. But I don't want you to bring it to me. I don't even want to get involved in whether it is good or bad conversation. I don't want to smell it. So they are now saying you must smell it. You must, power and influence all over the world to push that position. And I think it's a shame.
Okay.
Because they are this and that. It's really, really disgusting.
All right, Maestro. But then, when there is smoke, there is a high probability.
When they make up their minds like that, it's an extreme position. And they are prepared. They are fully prepared for the long distance run. And they are going to be doing everything that they could to push, this position. 50 years down the line, tops, that thank God I won't be around to see it. So
He said, thank God.
So I mean, I don't see another 50. But they are going to, because you see, they are long distance runners. These guys know how to push things over generations. Unfortunately, we in Africa, we are not prepared to do the generational runs. We only do our sprints. When we even sprint at all, we do short bursts, and then we fizzle out.
Actually assigned this in Nigeria is because we want to borrow. We want them to borrow us the money. We need the money. Can we really go to that extent? Because we just need money.
What I know is that it is illegal for any government, for anybody, to be moving in that direction. So you need to go and look at the law. You begin to put our hands in what runs against the law. So I think that looks.
Let us move on from that story, because we have another concerning story right here. As customs intercept 1.1. This is another one. Is there fire on the mountain?
No, well, this is to Nigeria.
Steadily.
And so every once in a long while that you find one, over maybe some 20, 30, 40 passed already. And it's not just through the airports. You come through seaports. You come through a bike. And you see the number of Berettas that you will see in one bike, hidden away in one bike, and the number of bullets, the ammunitions that you'll find. I mean, almost enough for a garrison to arm up. So you and that's just one bike. Now imagine the number of bikes that are flowing in from Niger into Nigeria on a daily basis.
And we are sleeping, we are waking up.
And some people are talking about, they are using it to smuggle rice in. Inside the rice, you have a lot of other things there on those bikes. And one bike might be carrying 4 bags of rice sometimes, maybe more. So we're too open to these things. But mainly, I think the government, again, should look at these countries where these things are coming from. There's no way in the world that the governments of those places will feign ignorance. That, we didn't know these things are flowing into your country from us. I don't believe so. Well, Turkey is still like, showing friendliness and interest and so on. So we can talk to Turkey. North Korea, you simply have to take your decision because they don't care. I mean, the Hamid Kingdom is not interested in all those niceties. They simply want to survive because
if you want to buy, they're selling.
Under heavy sanctions. If you want to buy their parents, they will sell. So that's a different ball game altogether. I don't believe the Nigerian government is doing enough, over the years, because, when it happened, I told you about Turkey, I told you about Philippines, China. Those are the places where things are flowing. North Korea, things are really, really flowing, into Nigeria from those places. And then this is where our own problem lies. When we get them, we don't see the faces of the people behind these things. We never do.
I said one person was actually caught, a suspect.
That okay, you and I are here. People are listening to us. Let's wait 1 month, 2 months, if until the next time they are going to arrest people, if you hear anything in court. This is big enough. It should be a splash. And people like us as journalists, they caught this guy with barge, stolen crude. What happened? After a while, there's the barge ablaze. They said it, so that this and that. What about prosecution? So they are covering these people up. They are giving them, as who call themselves terrorists. Where do you think they get? Do you think they do it with guns? They do these things with sophistication.
Anyway.
Is a link to Rivers how that a side in the conflict probably, or that I don't think so. You can't say that.
I was about to ask what is going on.
That's you have ports, you have rivers, you have where you could smuggle things in. Those are places where you could take things in. So the fact that you saw it around rivers does not mean that
because of what is going on there.
Called in by people. A lot of serious smuggling activities going on all around Nigeria, all around this country. Smuggling, heavy. So sometimes when you look at your economy and it's like this, it's also because a lot of smuggling, multi-billion-dollar smuggling, enterprise is going on and undermining the open economy. So you cannot solve this plain one and controlling all.
That is easy for them.
It's very easy, but first we have to how we convince one another to see that as
something as big as fake drugs coming into the country, and now we have. I don't know. Is it safe to say we are actually sitting on a keg of gunpowder in Nigeria? Or if I ask you that, you say we've been sitting on it for way too long.
Sure. It's something that I've been hearing since we were, given this so-called independence. But that success that came about was because we were not in one another's way. We had 3 regions. And the regions were in a healthy competition to thrive. What did immediately was to go and take the money belonging to Premier. He went after the money, brought into education. And that's why a lot of us speak to the Delta and stuff like that. So agriculture. But then
not enough
things were running
water
until and then balkanized everything. So the degeneration started. So we started dissolving from there, but it wasn't really apparent
to us,
to that generation. So until the industry started fizzling out again. I ran the industries by you, didn't I?
Yes.
Even in Ibadan alone. So these things are pretty obvious. It's just this
from another angle, and that is about the people have a lot to say about that, especially people to just slip away. Now, customer into the
Carton. Also, each individual pack is now 200 naira, while super pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts.
Business strategy, no, yeah.
It is important.
You don't have a more churchy. All right, yeah, welcome back. Maestro, before we went on that break, you mentioned something, and I think maybe we need more, maybe people need more clarity on actually, should I say proverb now?
Don't hear any sound. When you sleep around, which it shouldn't, then you will not hear the sound, so you will think you're still fine.
Wow, that is quite a big one, relating it to Nigeria and how we've been evolving.
So we've been losing these industries. We've been, and that's a sure signal,
Mm.
that we simply lost, that power, of productivity just cleaned out
Mm.
in a particular generation. And since then, people who have been going into manufacturing have been, it's like going, in throws.
Mhm.
It's so difficult, like you're going in throws, um, you know, just gasping and coming back to life and gasping and coming back to life.
I'm not even talking about those doing
It's
manufacturing
so difficult.
fake products.
So, and you know what?
Mm.
Most of the people manufacturing today
Mhm.
are manufacturing, let's not say fake, but substandard.
Substandard.
Because we could categorize the people who are deliberately manufacturing fake products,
Mhm.
we could put them under another category.
Mm.
But you have people who actually want to produce, something good, something that could compete with standards around the world,
Mm.
but they could not. So they just do what they could do under the circumstances.
Hmm.
And that's how we reduced quality of life too.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you that today we will celebrate buying a Tokumbo car. Nobody was buying any Tokumbo car in the past in this country.
Mm.
Nobody who was buying. We were buying new cars.
Wow.
New. Nobody was. I mean, how could you go and buy?
To buy a new car now and people will see that's on another level.
Now it's getting worse. If you are on the timeline keenly, I think they said vehicle imports, decreased by about 55%.
When?
And it's not now. And it's not because people don't want. It's
because they can't afford
there's
it.
no money to buy these things, and these things come in, really exorbitant. So, but you have to use used vehicles. You have to use used things generally. We barely buy anything new.
Again.
And unless you belong to the upper.
Some people would even say, "Do not give me the new one. I want that Tokumbo.
Well,
they last longer."
Yeah, because you also have people who are bringing in terrible things. When the Taiwanese, when they were building their economy, they were throwing in rubbish in 2 hours. They will make fans that could set the entire house ablaze. They were making, pressing irons that could, shock you and kill you, electrocute you. But they were still. So you know how long we have been getting these things wrong. There was no standard. People were dumping everything. So somebody will tell you, Okagidi Boribi fan Taiwan. That's what they were talking about, because it will run and at some time it will just go stiff. Brand new fan. It will go stiff, and then you had to rush and go and unplug and ensure that you don't set. So these are the things, the signals, the points where responsible leadership should have taken another direction in this country. But because we're in a program, because we're always at loggerheads with one another, because we operate on the basis of religion and ethnicity, and they play us against one another, because these people are the ones who lumped us together to start with, and it's for a purpose.
So now tongues differ.
Of course.
Wow.
They also wrote that one for us to sing, and we stopped singing it many years ago. Back to so it's our reality now.
To ginger us to do more. All right, let us move on to the story that says the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and organized private sector yesterday, they have faulted the honorable minister, the latest hike in the electricity tariff payable by customers in the Band A category. And that is we going to talk about the Honorable Minister of Power again, Adebayo Adelabu. That because now we have an increase again for Band A customers from 206.80 naira per kilowatt in an hour to 209.50 naira. Again, they said the cause of this is following the depreciation of the naira against the dollar and inflation, among other factors. So now we have to increase again. Band A customers, especially.
The worst part of it is that, this thing I told you is electricity banditry. And you see, the truth of the matter is that these increments are not going to bring about anything.
I said they get to 20 hours, at least 20 hours
It's
electricity.
they're just talking.
Hmm.
After a while, moved on to other issues. You'll suddenly see that you're having that blackout. But what I have said ad nauseam, supply the meters. So even if you say it's going to be 500 naira per whatever, but that we say, oh, it's expensive. But in many places, it's just expensive nothing or expensive darkness. Which is, you see, I'm not really concentrating that, it's the rich people who live in such places. It's not a valid argument completely. But let's even assume that, okay, they are dealing with rich people who live in all these posh places and they can afford it and they are not complaining. But that regime is going to wash down to people who don't even have money at all, to places where you don't have meters. And the bulk of simply assessing is all these poor areas. So you need to do something fundamental. And I told you before, when BRF came into office in this same ministry, and he announced an increment of 7, I think, I can't remember clearly now, I think it was 7% increment or something like that. And he defended it and said, okay, this was going to lead us to where we want to be. It turned out to be a mirage. Before he finished from that office, he started saying that it wasn't anything to do with the federal government. But so why was it you who announced it? It's you who defended it in the first instance. So they play games with us. And these games are not going to help us. What we need to do is to fix our problems from the base. Not all these scratches at the top. They're scratching the surface, trying to see where they could get an extra buck.
Which wouldn't help.
To do whatever it is they want to do at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't know if people like the Honorable Minister for Power, if they are not the fall guys in this instance. Because I see him as somebody who is going to come and ask for votes.
Amen.
And people are going to be judging him
based on
by this
what
moment.
he did.
So he has my sympathy in that regard. Sincerely, I'm being honest with you, because he's doing a thankless job.
All right, then let us move on. I think 2 days ago, we had something in the news coming from the former national vice chairman of the APC, Saliu Lukman, talking to the National Assembly, saying something about the fact that they are more like puppets in the hands of the executive arm of government. And now there is another news, and we have the Senate scoring the executive low in the implementation of the capital component of the 2024 budget. They are saying there is a need for government to get ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to implement the budget. That is them saying you are not doing enough when it comes to implementation. What do you have to say to this, Maestro?
I think they are saying the right things, but I don't know if they really mean it, if they will act it. Because the next minute they will say, if the government brings this to the Senate, we will approve it. And that's not the kind of statement you expect from a legislature.
But they did make it.
Look, the point is you let them bring it first, even if you are biased. So you see what actually they have brought to you and you look at it, you deliberate on that, and then make your decision.
Hmm.
But you're already going to the media
Mhm.
as the national legislature. I think it's ridiculous. So, which makes me, you know, and if you go and look at it, it might be just committee people.
Yeah, sure, yes,
It might,
actually,
it will not be the whole National Assembly
it is.
making a statement as a whole.
It's a
that-
Senate Committee on Appropriation.
So
The chairman.
the ones who will be making that corner side statements.
Hmm.
So I'm not really taken by that. Now, if in a plenary the Senate resolves
Mhm.
that, look, the executive arm of government, this 2024 budget is not being well implemented. This is our position.
So we know, okay.
We might say, okay, it looks like these people want to. It looks like, but for these committee people to, sometimes they make these strong statements if they are looking for something.
Hmm.
You never can tell with the Nigerian politician. So they play these games. They put a harsh word out there, and then somebody somewhere will cool them down with whatever it is they. You remember the last time I told you that this Oyo State House of Assembly thing was not going to amount to much.
Yeah, and then the next day,
So
all was well.
So sometimes, second base.
All right, let us open the phone lines for people to join in the conversation this morning. But then we are still going to touch on this story where we have the Senate probing a $4 billion refinery repairs and a hazardous diesel import. Yes, and maybe that seems like something. Phone lines will surely touch upon that. Before we open the phone lines, we know we have to listen to this.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the world hear your voice, because we have the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
All right, 070410018887, 070410018887, or +2347047008873. Those are the phone lines to call to join in the conversation this morning. Let us know what you think about the stories we have been discussing. From Adebayo Chobolaoti on our Facebook page saying, "Good morning, Maestro, and I'm able presenter on an increase in electricity tariff. Electricity distribution companies and their staff would never allow every house to be bills to customers." All right, we have another comment on the Facebook page, quite a lot of them right there, and then we're picking them up as we'll also be picking some calls this morning. Olubusayo Aluko said,
Actually,
investigation into the alleged importation of hazardous investigation into $4 billion repairs of federal government-owned refineries, because we've been trying to say, okay,
politicians use these things for other purposes. It does not fizzle out. So when I hear probe panels in this country, I hear commissions of inquiry, I hear all these investigations, my heart sinks more than soar, because we're used to. I would be foolish to be expecting, something out of the pattern. That's the truth. So, but yes, we are really disturbed about this humongous amount of money they've spent on the refineries, as we complained harder and harder for them to come into operation. And yes, the complaints also of Alhaji Aliko Dangote about all this funny, fuel that they are bringing into the country. These things should be investigated. and not just by the National Assembly.
Hmm.
You know, this is also the kind of stuff that the EFCC should be interested in. Instead of packing people in hotels and so on, running after all these small crumbs.
All right.
This is heavy.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, your contribution.
Yes, talking of refinery.
Mm.
So they want to use 4 billion naira to repair government-owned refineries. Now, where was this before Tinubu?
You don't,
No,
you don't get it.
that
at
is
all.
not the conversation. The news.
I think it's even 4 billion.
Yes. Hello. Hello, are you still with us? All right, 070410018 $8 billion actually.
Uh-huh.